decide to blame me? Stop wasting time! Stop wasting energy! You really think your little trick is gonna work?
Shut up, you!
You got it, boss! Shutting up now!
Anyway, Kyoko, you actually did have a reason to kill her.
Huh? She did?
She thought Mukuro was the ultimate despair. In other words, the mastermind behind everything. So she killed her to try and put a stop to all this. Isn't that right, Kyoko? But you made one catastrophic mistake. Mukuro wasn't the mastermind at all. And as a result, we were forced into another trial, something I'm sure you weren't at all expecting.
So, that was her motive?
If she had a motive and no alibi, well then, I think it's pretty clear Kyoko's gotta be the culprit.
I'm not the only one without an alibi. Makoto's explanation is still insufficient.
Huh?
The sprinklers didn't get the body wet, but that doesn't mean the murder happened when he said it did.
What are you...
Because you see, there is a way the body could have avoided getting wet.
Interesting. I'm listening.
All it would take is covering the body with a certain something to keep it from getting wet.
I got it! You're talking about the tarp, aren't you?
You catch on quick. You're right. All you'd have to do is cover the body with the tarp, and that'd take care of the water. In fact, that's exactly what the killer did. The dirt pattern on the tarp can attest to that. Only one side of the tarp got dirty, because that's the side that got covered in water. The side that faced down over the body, meanwhile, kept perfectly clean. This proves that the killer used the tarp to keep the body from getting soaked.
But why would they go to all that effort just to keep the body from getting wet?
Most likely so they could cloud the issue of when the murder actually took place. In other words, to create an excuse exactly like the one Makoto just gave us.
Wait, something's not right.
And what might that be? By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting...
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless.
It's because that side was protected from the water.
Shoot!
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it.
So the reason the tarp was because the sprinkler got...
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless.
It's because that side was protected from the... Since it was facing down, of course it didn't get dirty!
No, that's wrong! Actually, one side being clean is pretty strange if you think about it. Because the blood wasn't dry before the body got blown up, right? Byakuya said it himself. Not to touch it, or you might get some on you. If you put a tarp on a body in that state, it absolutely would have gotten blood on it.
Well, maybe the culprit washed it, so nobody would know they'd used it.
If they had, they would have washed both sides. Just washing the one side wouldn't hide anything.
Oh, yeah, true.
More than that, what if the very blood we saw on the body was meant as a kind of camouflage? What if, after the killer used the tarp to avoid the sprinklers, they then covered the body in blood that didn't belong to the victim?
You mean someone else's blood? Where would the...
I know! They could have grabbed some of the blood packs from the nurse's office. That's what Hifumi did, right? When he pretended to be dead?
No, that's not what happened this time. The killer got the blood from right there in the garden.
I got it! Could it have been chicken blood?
What? Chicken blood?
When I checked the chicken coop before the murder, there were 5 chickens. But after the murder, there were only 4.
So, you're saying someone killed a chicken and then covered the body with its blood? Man, that's messed up.
Killing a living thing just to do something like that is awful. They should have at least eaten it.
I wonder if the killer had to get the blood from the scene so they wouldn't be spotted walking around. Anyway, there's no denying that a chicken went missing, which provides a basis for my theory.
Perhaps, but even so, there's one thing that still doesn't make sense. You said the culprit used the tarp to avoid the water and then covered the body in blood, right? But if that's the case, then the blood should have soaked into the ground around the body. But that's not what we saw. Only the victim's clothing had blood on it. The ground was completely clean.
I have to agree, that certainly is strange. Maybe they didn't apply the blood at the scene. Maybe they covered the coat in blood beforehand.
They covered it beforehand?
When you discovered the body, was it wearing the coat like you normally would?
I think so. Wait, no. The head was through the neck hole, but the arms weren't in the sleeves.
Then that settles it.
Sorry, I'm having a tough time keeping up. What settles what?
Here's what happened. The murder took place before the sprinklers went off. But the body didn't get wet because the killer covered it with the tarp. Then, later, at the same time the killer was gathering up the tarp, they pulled the coat over the body, the coat they'd already covered in blood. This series of cover-ups was meant to disguise the actual time the murder occurred. They wanted us to think the murder happened sometime after the sprinklers had gone off, at 7:30.
If that's actually what took place, it certainly becomes possible that the murder happened earlier.
But to pull all that off, wouldn't they have had to go back to the garden after the sprinklers turned off?
That actually wouldn't have been all that difficult.
Huh?
They already had the coat ready, so they just had to grab the tarp and pull the coat over the body. They'd be done in no time.
Maybe, but still.
Hina, after you met up with Makoto in the dining hall, did you two stay together from that point on?
Oh no, I headed off to the gym and Makoto didn't show up till later.
Then he had plenty of time to spare, wouldn't you say?
That's not...
Don't bother saying it's not possible.
I must admit, Kyoko's reasoning is sound. Makoto's alibi is inadequate. Well then, it looks like we're back to square one. Makoto's alibi is no good, so once again, our suspects are him and...
For serious, man? Which one of them did it? Hey, why don't we let luck decide? Let's flip a coin. 50-50.
Oh!
See? Pretty good idea, right?
No, not that. I just remembered something super serious.
Well, don't just stand there. Out with it.
You know that knife we found all black and burnt?
The one we found stuck in the body before it exploded, right? According to the Monokuma file, the knife went all the way through, from front to back. So, what about it?
I'm pretty sure I'd seen that knife somewhere before. That's what I thought when I first saw it. I just...
It's the knife we gave to Makoto?
You don't seem surprised. You must have noticed earlier.
Yeah,
Then why did you hide that fact?
it's not that I hid it. It's just...
Suspicious! Very suspicious. The knife we found stuck in the body came from Makoto. Now I'm totally convinced he did it. 12,000% convinced.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto!
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife, that seals it. Makoto did it.
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right? So there's no question. You took that knife of yours and killed her.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto. The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto!
It really is, isn't it?
If he did have that knife, that seals it.
Just because I had the knife, that automatically makes...
Well, getting stabbed isn't what killed her.
No, that's wrong! Wait, hold on. The stab wound isn't what killed Mukuro. That should be clear from the description of the cover-up we just heard.
Lies! We never talked about what killed her.
No, don't you remember? The killer covered the dead body with the tarp, and then put the bloody coat on it, right? In other words, the victim never wore that blood-stained coat until after they were dead.
Okay, fine. So what?
So, when we discovered the body, the knife had been thrust through the coat along with the body. Meaning, if she wasn't stabbed until the coat was put on, and she was already dead at that point, obviously the stab wound isn't what killed her.
Maybe you stabbed her twice. Once to kill her and once to cover it up.
Really? I refuse to give up yet! Wait, hold on. The stab wound isn't what killed Moo. That should be clear from the description.
Lies!
No, in other words, the victim never wore that blood.
Okay, fine.
The knife had been thrust through the coat along with the body. Meaning, if she wasn't stabbed until the coat was put on, and she was already dead at that point, obviously the stab wound isn't what killed her.
Maybe you stabbed her twice. Once to kill her and once to cover it up.
I got it! The Monokuma file clearly states that there was only one stab wound.
Oh yeah, it sure did. I totally forgot about that.
Then the knife...
was just another piece of camouflage set up by the true killer. They probably stabbed her to draw attention away from what actually killed her. Exploding the body afterward was probably meant to do the same thing. The explosion severely damaged the body, making it impossible to know what really killed her. It was all the killer's attempt to destroy all evidence of their crime.
So they wanted us to notice the stab wound and then detonated the body afterward. They meant for us to latch onto the knife as the cause of death, then destroy any evidence proving otherwise.
Oh, hey, I have a question. It kinda goes back to the beginning, but... what's the deal with that explosion anyway? Why'd the body just blow up all of a sudden like that?
If you bothered to put that lump of gray matter between your ears to use, you'd know the answer.
Well, if you're so smart, just tell me.
I'll tell you. I bet some unknown quantum particle caused an atomic-level spontaneous combustion!
I might be dumb, but even I'm not dumb enough to believe that.
Go ahead, Makoto. Tell her or we won't make any headway on this.
I got it! After the explosion, we found a tiny fragment of something on the ground near the body, right? That fragment reveals the cause of the explosion.
Huh? You know,
That's only natural, because of course, we saw the same thing when we dismantled Monokuma. It's part of a bomb.
oh! Then the explosion was because of the Monokuma bomb.
Anyway, the culprit's motive is becoming more and more obvious by the minute. They wanted the knife wound to look like the fatal injury so that we'd suspect Makoto. And the only one who would benefit from that is the only other possible suspect, you, Kyoko.
Hold on a second, Byakuya.
What's the problem?
Well, I just feel like we need to think this through. We still don't know what actually killed the victim.
That's true. It's definitely bugging me. What really killed her?
Fine, I have no problem with that. Let us continue the debate. It won't change the facts of the case regardless. Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
The explosion didn't kill her for sure. I guess.
Well, yeah. She was already totally dead when that happened.
And it wasn't me because of the knife, right? And then there's only one...
Oh yeah. That's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body. Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
The explosion didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah.
And it wasn't because of the... There's only...
Oh, yeah. That's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed...
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body. Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's
Fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
Shoot!
Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet...
The explosion didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah. She was already...
And it wasn't because of the knife, right? And then there's only...
Oh, yeah. That's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she...
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body.
Shoot!
Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
The explosion didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah. She was already...
And it wasn't because of the knife. And then there's only...
Oh, yeah. That's gotta be it. There was evidence...
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body.
Shoot!
Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined.
The explosion didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah. She was...
And it wasn't because of the knife. And then there's only...
Oh, yeah. That's gotta be it. There was evidence that...
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body. Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury
Has yet to be determined, correct?
Shoot!
Then, shall we continue? The victim's fatal injury has yet...
The explosion didn't kill her for...
Well, yeah.
And it wasn't because of the... And then there's only...
Oh, yeah. That's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed...
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body. Then, shall we continue? The victim's fatal injury has yet...
The explosion didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah.
And it wasn't because of the knife. And then there's only...
Oh, yeah. That's gotta be it.
There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
Shoot! I refuse to give up yet!
Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined.
The explosion didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah. She was...
And it wasn't because of the knife, right? And then there's only...
Oh, yeah. That's gotta be it.
There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
Shoot!
Then, shall... Shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
The explosion didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah.
And it wasn't because of the knife, right? And then there's only one other.
Oh, yeah. Funny, that's gotta be it.
There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
Shoot!
Then shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined.
The explosion didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah. She was already totally dead.
And it wasn't because of the knife, right? And then there's only one other thing.
Oh, yeah. That's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she...
And more than that,
The victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body.
then shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has...
The explosion didn't kill her.
Well, yeah.
And it wasn't because of the knife. And then there's only...
Oh, yeah. That's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of...
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body.
Then shall we continue the victim's fatal injury has yet...
The explosion didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah.
And it wasn't because of the knife, right?
Shoot!
Then shall we continue
The debate? The victim's fatal injury has...
The explosion didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah.
And it wasn't because of the knife. And then there's...
Oh, yeah. That's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the...
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body.
Then shall we continue the victim's fatal
Injury has yet to be determined.
No, that's wrong! Mukuro died because of the blow to the back of the head she suffered.